Hey guys, how are we doing? It's Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you back another and a different YouTube video. So what we're going to do is kind of do a weekly summary. This is going to start happening every week. We're going to record it either on the Thursday or the Friday or the Saturday and probably release it on the Saturday each week. And obviously it's not just me, I'm joined here by my friend and guest, and I'll let him introduce himself.
How we doing, people? First time you're seeing me on the screen, to be fair. Not one to kind of put myself out there, but I've been mates with Will for a very long time. Since he started getting into crypto. Both kind of got in crypto at the same time, to be fair, didn't we really? Obviously you dove into it a bit deeper than myself, but yeah, gonna do this once a week, quite casual, not gonna stuff the information down your throat, kind of keep it quite, do you know what I mean, just kind of chat about it opposed to just reading facts off a list basically. But yeah, it's
just a relaxed podcast. And one thing that Pab didn't actually mention is that he helps me run my Twitter, so you will have seen some of his tweets. And if you were a member of our TA group, you'd have seen some of his TA.
So I do kind of know what I'm talking about. Not as well as this guy, but yeah, we're almost
he does. So let's talk about the first topic of the day, which is that Brazil are planning to launch a CBDC in the second half of 2022.
So yeah, I mean it's another country diving into it, really, isn't it? And it's like you said, second half of 2022. It's this year.
Close, bro.
This is a lot. When we talk about a lot of stuff that concerns crypto, you kind of forget how quick things are going to happen. Do you know what I mean? People think, okay, it's still another 5 years online. People kind of still stuck in that mindset in terms of like it's still so far away. We're still early, which we are still early. I'm not saying we're not, but as you can see, countries, even like when did the UK kind of say, obviously they came out with something
2
similar
weeks ago saying about crypto sprint
and how
regulation.
they're trying to get stuff implemented 2023, I think it was that they said, but
the framework's out by then.
They've already got stuff sorted out. Do you know what I mean?
It's crazy.
As do Brazil, but like.
Brazil, even talking about that, like I'm pretty sure in Rio you can pay like your taxes in Bitcoin. You get 10% off your tax fees if you pay it in Bitcoin.
Things are already there, but people just don't see it because they don't interact with it on a day-to-day basis. Do you know what I mean? But like stuff, when things like this are coming out, you're going to kind of start seeing it, and like I said, more on a day-to-day basis, people are going to start encountering it and using it.
Yeah, exactly that. And like what we're seeing is a lot of like they're all aligned for the same sort of release date for CBDCs specifically. Like we've got obviously like China and the yuan, probably the furthest forward in terms of like a developed country.
Exactly.
Obviously you've got like the Bahamian sand dollar and like all these sorts of like smaller countries, their CBDCs. But like Brazil's like a massive country. Their GDP is like huge, isn't it? Like I don't know if they're like top 5. I'd say top 5 economy, something like that. Maybe not that high, but maybe a top 10. So like for them to be announced as CBDC and it's only a pilot, but the pilot for the second half of 2022. That's fucking soon, bro.
That's literally, like I said, around the corner. And
that's soon.
Now you've got Brazil kind of coming out, which, like you said, are such a big country. You're gonna get a lot of other smaller ones who are gonna start looking at this and start putting, one step in front of the other and kind of start getting their framework together and their pilot scheme together so they can start rolling theirs out. Because the thing is, no one's going to want to fall behind.
Yeah, that's it.
If people start rolling stuff out a bit later than the other ones, then you're going to start having that problem where you're going to be behind the curve almost in terms of like development, just general technology.
Definitely. And I think that like rings true with not just CBDCs but regulation in general. If we get like one country, for example, anywhere, like even Thailand have been like offering decent legislation for crypto in general. We know obviously El Salvador, Bitcoin. Like as soon as you start seeing countries doing things like this, because crypto is so like borderless, you can take it anywhere. People are just going to move to the countries that give them the best frameworks.
That's what I mean.
So you get a country like this, like Brazil with their CBDC, if they come out with decent framework and then you can interact with crypto very easily, like on and off ramp is real easy for CBDCs. A lot of innovation is going to head there.
That's what I mean. This is what I'm trying to say. It's going to be the best thing I can kind of describe it as a snowball effect. Like as soon as one country starts doing it, and this and different technology starts coming into play, countries start seeing this technology in use. Then they're going to want to get onto it like 100%. As soon as possible. And like this is 2022. What we're going to start reading next year, you're going to start seeing ridiculous articles next year that countries start following like El Salvador's route, for example.
Yeah, I think that's very, very likely. And actually, it kind of leads us on to the second topic that we're going to talk about. Which is not exactly the same, but we're seeing a lot of headlines like this. Okay, cool, nice advert. We're seeing a lot of headlines like this, which is Nexo and MasterCard.
Right, so what's Nexo?
Nexo is kind of like a staking or earning platform for crypto. It's also got like an inbuilt exchange. The fees are quite high, so personally, like, remember, none of this is financial advice, guys. Personally, I wouldn't recommend exchanging your crypto in there, but I personally have used it to like stake my XRP, for example. You get 4% on your Flexi XRP, which means you can withdraw at any point, and you get an extra percent, like to 5% if you lock it, and you get extra benefits if you hold Nexo tokens. But essentially, it's like a staking lending sort of.
So it platform. It's honestly is a good website, and like they're partnering with MasterCard to launch the first ever crypto-backed payment. When I read this, I was quite like, I had to kind of almost read it twice, because we've spoken about this kind of similar stuff like this that we thought was going to come out in the future. I didn't think it would come out this soon, but it's basically a platform which is going to enable you to spend your crypto that you hold, because obviously you have to hold it on. I'm guessing you have to hold it on the Nexo exchange, because that's how it's going to connect to the car. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I presume.
We don't know the ins and outs, but the general gist of things is like you now have a card that you can use. Which, where does it say? Does it say something about Apple Pay and Google Pay?
Yeah, there's definitely something about that.
It's going to be integrated with their kind of system. So
I was just looking to see if there was a date on here, but I can't see that either. But what I can see is, we haven't even mentioned this with it, is that obviously on Nexo you can take loans. Like you can take a loan against your crypto, meaning like you can bring your crypto out tax free, and like, well, in the UK as a jurisdiction, it would be a tax free withdrawal if you take it out as a loan. As far as what I'm aware, anyway, that's how it works with like normal business, isn't it? So that would give people the option to do something like that. But I can't see a date here, but the opportunity for this is endless, because as we've talked about before, and I don't know if you guys know this, but as part of my cash out plan for like XRP specifically, I'm going to hold in stable coins, whether that be USDC or USDT, whatever offers me decent rates, because I'm going to be staking them. Like, and Nexo is a platform that I will have some of my stable coins staked on, especially with Nexo rewards. I think it's 8% on a stable coin, and if you've got like platinum rewards, which means you own like 10% of your balance in Nexo, you get up to like 12% on your APY on your stable coin.
This is crazy, honestly.
So that would facilitate you to be using your crypto straight away on your debit card, and we want to travel, or I specifically want to travel, you can use it anywhere.
And it was what they say, I think it had a cap of like 20,000 euros or something, international spend, something like that.
I think something like that, yeah.
I don't think there's going to be too many barriers in terms of like how much
20,000 a month, right?
Yeah, exactly, a month. Like
no FX fees up to 20,000 a month.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
This is what I'm saying. It's a similar story with the Brazilian like CBDCs. As soon as one person starts announcing like Nexo, MasterCard, you're going to get all these different companies who, like I said, they're not going to want to miss the train. They're not going to want to let like Nexo get ahead of them. So they're going to start partnering, whether it's MasterCard or a different kind of company.
Sure. Yeah, it might even, like you're saying, be legacy finance.
And then it's going to get all competitive, and they're going to start offering different benefits, and then because they're going to want to get the most amount of people in as soon as possible, because as soon as the front runners will get the majority of the market share, whatever. That's just how business works. Yeah. So, like it's a bit of it's a race. It is a race, and 100%. Nexo they're coming out and they're leading the race. So.
Yeah, and I think that's exaggerated by like what we're seeing with the UK at the minute. We talked about their legislation wants to be out by 2023. Yeah. All of a sudden, we want legislation and we want it out by 2023, and they've called it a crypto sprint. We want to be ahead of Europe, because if we're ahead of Europe as a country, people are going to come here. The innovation, the new money, Web3 is going to move here to innovate. That's what they want. They're going to work with people in the industry, similar with like Nexo, legacy finance, and that leads on actually quite well to the next article, which is BlackRock's world's largest asset manager invests in USDC stablecoin. So Circle and USDC have had like a $400 million fundraiser, and BlackRock were one of the main investors, but they also came with a secondary tweet, I saw it on Twitter for sure yesterday. What was that saying? Like that BlackRock are going to hold all of USDC's reserves and asset manage for them. So like BlackRock's $7 trillion under asset management, or 8, I think, like the biggest asset manager in the world. They asset manage for loads of different like countries, sovereign funds, like even like the US, like Federal Reserve. I'm pretty sure they asset manage some of their assets.
Yeah. What do you think? What does this mean? What does it symbolize for crypto?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it means like now we're starting to see recognition from legacy finance, not just recognition as in like, oh, okay, that's an asset class, but now it's like, well, I'm pretty sure they've been getting involved behind closed doors anyway, but now they're saying to people, look, we're getting involved. Like we're holding, like USDC in the market is like quite a renowned like like a decent stablecoin.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously there's skepticism around some others. I'm not going to name names, but obviously we all know what we're talking about there. But with this, it makes it more like, okay, well, this is, and there's speculation, and this is obviously just speculation. The USDC is going to work with America to be like an American, like back. Obviously, it's already an American-backed stablecoin, but look directly with the American central bank, and this kind of would solidify that. BlackRock already have their deals with the Fed and partnerships within American banks. So, what do you think that means?
I don't know. I think it provides us with, I don't know what the right word is in terms of what I'm trying to describe, but for BlackRock to kind of get involved with a stable coin, like I said, despite a lot of flack that a lot of other stable coins are getting, it kind of gives the consumers a bit more confidence in that.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it, to be fair.
In terms of other stable coins, but like for BlackRock to come out and say, okay, look, we're holding $50 billion amount of the stable coin. It's big news in terms of, not in terms of like the amount of monetary value it is, but in terms of the sentiment it gives to like us.
Yeah, and that was a great point. It really sparked it in my head there. It's not just for us who are crypto investors, but it really gives it, and what was the word you used there? That was a great word to describe it, but it gives the market confidence, and also people who aren't already involved in crypto. Those people like $7 trillion under assets under management. They're going to have loads of like legacy financial, like old school business people, and now going to be like, whoa, they're holding like USDC reserves. What is USDC? Exactly. How can I get involved with this? This is like legitimizing this industry for those people, isn't it?
It gives everyone a bit more of reassurance. You like to see it, because everyone within the finance world, they know who BlackRock is, right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows who they're a big company. They're not just like some small management fund or whoever they are. They're a big company, and people look for those household names for them to gain confidence in it. Because it's not just with this. You can see, you can relate that to anything in the world. You know what I mean? People look for the things that they know.
Yeah,
they won't go out in terms of their comfort zone and trying to find like the new next best thing. They'll always go and see what the best things are doing, which they probably should, because like I said, one of the market leaders. But like I said, it just kind of gives everything a bit more reassurance. It's hard to explain to what I'm trying to say, but
I understand where you are with that, and it's just like BlackRock are such a big company. To say that they've got $7 trillion of assets under management, like doesn't really even doesn't sound much, but they've got like their finger in like every pie. Like if you look at any major, like probably S&P 500 company, they'll have some sort of link to it in some way.
That's what I'm trying to say.
So for them to be like legitimizing Circle and CBD and USDC, it's just a huge market statement, isn't it?
It's another step in the right direction. Do you know what I mean? I know it sounds really cliche, but it just is like a big company putting it on the line and saying that we're getting involved. People are just going to be like, okay, maybe this is the real. Well, not obviously they don't need to tell us that, but other people who aren't so clued up in terms of crypto, it's mainly a bigger statement for them.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say.
Who've been skeptical anyway. So that now we're kind of going on a bit of a different tangent now, and we're going to change completely, because these are the two articles or the few articles we really wanted to bring to your attention. But then we've got some other things like a bit of a flip. So this is what we're going to get straight into now.
Elon.
And it's today's news. It's fresh today, 5 hours ago. And what's going on?
Well, Elon's been in the news a lot this week, isn't it? Obviously, regarding Twitter. If you've not been living under a rock this week, you obviously know Elon has acquired the majority shares in Twitter.
Yeah.
And then he obviously came out and rejected this. He rejected the seat on the board, right? He
got offered it, and then he accepted it, and then he rejected it.
So I don't know. I'm not too sure. Obviously, there's a lot going on behind the scenes which we don't know. But then this has come out today saying that has he made the offer to buy the entire of Twitter?
Yeah, so I think what happened is Twitter stocks are about $28,
right?
And he's offered $54.20 a share per share.
So he really wants it.
He wants
it. Why does he?
Why didn't get his winding on the board? Why he's accepting a board seat and then not going to?
There's got to be a reason though. This is what I'm.
Okay, but I've actually just thought of something. Do you remember a few weeks ago? I showed you a tweet, or I probably put it in our group chat, but about him saying specifically that he's got information about the SEC and he's going to go after them. Do you remember that?
Okay, I do actually remember.
Like,
that does ring a
it
bell.
wasn't like a massive thing, and I made a big deal out of it, but he definitely tweeted something about, someone said, does this mean you don't like the SEC? And he said, I've never liked the SEC.
I remember you saying that.
And then he was like, I'm going to take them to court or whatever. So I think there could he could be trying to make a statement here about something like that, and we've got another tweet to back that up actually in a minute. But
because obviously Twitter is obviously one of the biggest social media platforms. It's like you say, you think he's making a statement.
I do, yeah.
So is he kind of saying to the SEC, look, you have got of this governing body, but I've got this amount of following as well. So look, I could get everyone behind me, because everyone,
like richest man in the world, isn't it?
If he asked the public, put a poll out on Twitter, people will go obviously his side over the SEC, because no one really likes the SEC in terms of what they're doing, and obviously we'll get into that a bit. But it does actually lead us on to our next thing, which we'll cover in a bit.
Do you know what? Let's touch onto that, and then we can always come back to the story. Because this is what it is.
Because you just showed me this now, so I'm not too sure what's gone on here, but obviously it kind of backs up what you were saying in terms of why he's going after the SEC.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's actually kind of refreshing to see someone quite big and powerful, such as Elon, going after the SEC, because
we obviously know he was fined by the SEC with Tesla.
Yeah.
And then Eleanor Tourette is from Fox Business, and they've covered quite a lot of the XRP news. So a lot of the XRP army understand and relate to Eleanor Tourette. And she said, and this is a quote, "I was told by the banks that if I did not agree to settle with the SEC, they would cease to provide working capital and Tesla would go bankrupt immediately. So I was forced to concede to the SEC unlawfully. I was forced to admit that I lied to save Tesla's life." And that's directly from Elon Musk, and the SEC declined to comment on this statement. And that came out, so this about Twitter came out 5 hours ago, and this tweet came out at 6:43, and at the time of recording it's 9 p.m, so that's a 3.5 hour old tweet. So that's come out more recently than the Elon Musk Twitter.
That's just ridiculous.
Purchase.
Reading that tweet just makes you think how much power that these people have.
Yeah, it's mad.
Like I said, it is refreshing to see someone big kind of almost stand up, because no one else is going to do it. Because no one wants to mess with them, because
they'll just crush you.
They'll crush, they will crush you. But one person who they might not crush is Elon Musk. So it is kind of nice to kind of see him kind of give him a kind of a bit of a shove.
Yeah, it's kind of like they've messed with the wrong guy now, isn't it?
I think they have, but
that's kind of what Ripple were taking a stand and doing, though.
Yeah, because they're kind of doing it for the whole. We'll get onto this in a bit, but obviously they're doing it for the crypto industry as a whole, because it's going to provide clarity as and when they win. Because obviously we're confident they are, but it will provide clarity for the whole industry, not just for Ripple.
Sure.
So it just takes that one person like Elon, like Ripple, to kind of stand up to these these governing bodies and just kind of say, you can't do what you're doing anymore.
It's too much, yeah.
We can see it, everyone can kind of see it, but like I said, no one wants to kind of get up there and kind of say anything.
Yeah, and before we go too deep into the SEC, because we are going to touch on that in a second, let's talk about what Elon Musk actually buying Twitter might mean for the crypto space or the space in general. So what is your speculation? Why is he trying to do that? Let's say SEC aside, what do you think of it, and what do you think it would mean for crypto specifically?
I'm not too sure in terms of what his agenda is in terms, because there's obviously a big reason he's not just going to spend.
I don't know how many billion
I read the figure out earlier.
It's a lot. It's a lot of billions.
It is a lot. He's not just going to do that for no reason. He's got. Do you know what I mean? He's got a plan behind the madness. Mm-hmm. He's obviously thought something through. But one thing I did want to quickly touch on is that I read something early on in the week when he first initially bought the majority share, that and it concerns Doge, obviously a bit of a meme coin, Will's favourite coin. Obviously, he invested in it recently. Someone was talking about Dogecoin and how it was initially. So Doge was initially made for tipping. It was this whole thing. Apparently, this is what I read anyway. But it was made for tipping. So they were kind of linking with him incorporating Doge as a tipping system. Not financial advice, but it could be.
There's definitely decent speculation there, because whenever he tweets about Doge runs up in value.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't tweet about any other crypto apart from Doge. He obviously likes the whole fact that there's a meme behind it and it gets a lot of attention. So, and
there's already the tipping mechanism now on Twitter, obviously with Ethereum and Bitcoin. So it would make sense to add Doge.
So it's a bit weird how that's kind of been brought in as well in this middle. So it's a good link, but that's in terms of crypto, in terms of what he's trying to do. I'm not too sure, but like I said, Twitter's it's just such a big platform. So whatever he wants to do with it, 100%. He can do it.
100%, and he's wants to take censorship away and all that sort of stuff. I saw another tweet about this actually saying that now we'll see how corrupt everything is, because if it's not corrupt, if he's offering this, because he also came out with this tweet and said, is it even here? This offer became the largest shareholder. No, but what he basically said is that he still wants to keep a lot of shareholders on, but just take Twitter private. But then someone else tweeted out basically saying We'll see how corrupt the market is now, because obviously loads of people are going to want to sell 54.20, it's like double your money. And we'll see if any rules come out to say why you can't do that.
There you go.
So that's basically what we're looking for now.
Yeah.
And see what's happening behind closed doors.
Maybe that's his agenda. Maybe that's kind of what he wants to expose a bit. I don't know.
I feel like when you get this rich and you are who he is, and like, I obviously know that he tries to make a profit because that's what companies do.
Yeah.
He works in the best interest of his company, and he's a successful guy, very successful, obviously. But I think when you get to his ability in life, but also like his net worth, money doesn't matter. Like, he's buying Twitter for a reason that he wants to do it. He wants to do it.
And that's good to see that, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I like it. But it kind of like, it does make me think, and this is a personal speculation. Two speculations here is one that we just talked about Doge, and it's not obviously financial advice. I don't have actually. I think I swung my Doge like the other week. I took a swing on it the other week. I'm not actually holding it right now, but I don't think it's a bad trade, because obviously anything that Elon's involved with, especially on Twitter, like, and if we have some kind of alt season, we normally have some kind of meme coin rally anyway. Through like new retail investor speculators coming into the market, it's a lot of them, like something they see pretty early on. Like, the YouTubers like to push it, so for that reason, I think Doge is probably not a bad punt right now. But the second speculation that I want to move on to from this is, like, is he gonna team up with Brad Gardenhouse and come through against Gary Gensler?
I would love to see that, because obviously it's good for our investment. Because obviously, you guys don't know, I'm also a big XRP holder as well. Slight bias obviously towards XRP, but
of course we both.
We'll go into on a different podcast. We'll go into why we like XRP, because it's not just a blind shot in the dark, is it? Sure. But that will be good, because it will bring a lot of attention to Ripple XRP specifically. So
I can see him, if this is a big FU to the SEC. Why would he not like come through? And like, at least like put some comments towards Ripple and be like, look, I'm with you guys. You know what I mean?
Let's say if Ripple get a settlement, or they actually take him to court and beat him, surely he's going to make a comment. If like he's got this beef with the SEC as well, surely he's going to make some sort of comment.
Yeah,
which is just going to send it.
Like, funding wise, like Ripple's. Obviously, they're doing well as a business. They've got the capital, but surely Elon's probably in Brad's ear, like, look, bro, keep fighting this. I'll fund you. Like, if you want the funding, don't worry about it.
It wouldn't shock me if that's happening behind the scenes, because we don't have a clue of what's going on behind the scenes when it comes to any topic, especially within the financial market, because there's a certain amount of people in charge. You don't have a clue what's going on.
Yeah, 100%. And they're both two big CEOs of, like, big companies. We're two retail investors.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting in Brad Gardenhouse's shoes and I'm seeing Elon Musk do this, I'm buzzing him. I'm like, hey Elon, like, is there anything we can do together? Like, can I help you? Can you help me? Or the other way around. Like, surely one of them is ringing each other. Like, what have you got? What can I use? What can I not use?
End of the day, they're both, from what it seems, they're both trying to fight the same cause. So they both want to kind of almost humble the SEC. So I wouldn't see why it wouldn't happen. It'll be nice. Baby,
it's exciting. It's exciting.
It would be going nuts if that happened, and so would the charts.
So we obviously just covered that. I just want to go to our Twitter quickly. This is the tweet from Elon Musk from Liquidity or Lit Capital. It said Elon went from teasing changes to Twitter over a poll, buying 9.2%, accepting and then declining a board seat. Getting sued by... Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. He got sued by Twitter shareholders over delayed disclosure, because he basically said that he took a while to disclose his holdings.
Oh, really?
And then he said... And then tweet 5, offering to buy out all of Twitter just in a few weeks.
This is what I'm saying. How much has happened? I feel like I've been heard of this in the past couple of weeks, so like...
It's mad, bro. Like, there's too much going on.
I honestly didn't even know he got sued by the shareholders. So that's another bit of a weird thing there.
Yeah,
maybe that's why he's gone and been like, okay, you know what, I'm going to take the whole thing then.
Yeah, maybe.
Could be a bit of an effort to them as well.
Or maybe he didn't disclose because he already had the offering or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Like I said, we don't know.
I don't know. The thing that I really don't get is that. Why are you accepting a seat on the board and then declining it?
Especially what I don't get is why it was made public that he accepted it.
Yeah.
And then declined. So obviously something's happened in that little short time period, which has made him kind of like switch his mind. In terms of what it is, I have no idea. But
what could make him change his mind now? Because the SEC already has sued him. Yeah. They've already sued Tesla a while ago. Like, what can they actually do to him now? They can't double jeopardy him anyway, I don't think. So I don't really know what's going on, but obviously, I think that's probably enough.
That will come out, I guess that will come out.
We'll cover that probably next week.
Yeah,
I'm sure next week.
If this is moved this week, as it has this week, I'm sure something else will be coming out in terms of Twitter news.
And we're on to our final topic of the day, which we've obviously covered already on Twitter a bit, and I've covered on YouTube and TikTok, but it's huge. It's one of the biggest updates that we've had, and that is James Fillan obviously reporting on the SEC versus Ripple's case, and the court has denied the SEC's motion for reconsideration of the DPP ruling and granted the SEC's request for clarification. The James Fillan goes on to say it's a big win for Ripple.
Huge win.
So basically, the SEC has 14 days to file an objection of the decision to Judge Torres. And if you want to understand what's going on, basically, in a nutshell, the SEC and William Himon specifically have been trying to argue that Himon's speech was his opinion. The SEC have been tiptoeing, saying it is his opinion, it's not his opinion, it's actually the opinion of the Corporate Finance Division, so it should all be protected under the DPP ruling, which is basically a law that's set out to give any regulators in the space protection from releasing their conversations to the public when they're designing a law. Then the judges said, look, you came through and said it's his opinion first, so it's either his opinion or it's not, and you said it's his opinion, it is his opinion, and now that is going to get basically released to Ripple.
Right.
And if that doesn't, they basically got 14 days to object this, but the judges played it so well because she let them have extensions on this. They were supposed to hand these emails over to Ripple in August.
Oh no, I feel like this has been dragged on for so long, and again, it's almost like, obviously the judge is just doing a job, but it's almost standing up to the SEC a bit, saying, look, stop messing about. Let's just sort this out. That's what I feel like. This is so big. I just don't feel like it's been touched on enough, especially on Twitter. No one's really made a big thing about it. People have mentioned it, saying, "Oh yeah, they're speculating it could do this. It could be good for Ripple." But from where I'm sitting, again, obviously we've got bias towards XRP.
Sure.
It's a home run.
Yeah, it is
a home run because they've just been told no, stop messing about. Show us the emails. They're hiding it. Something's in these. Obviously, within these emails, we've had what's his name? Is it the Ripples? Someone.
Matt Solomon.
Yeah. He was kind of indicated maybe they said something about XRP, which would obviously shut down the case within an instant anyway.
And you've got to remember within that a lot of the ex-SEC staff work at Ripple, so some of them might have been involved in that email chain.
They will know what's in the actual email. It's so. I just can't believe this is actually happening.
So why it's so important specifically is if there is some evidence in there, they could be hiding in this email chain. Matt Solomon hinted, what you're talking about, that in that chain they may have literally said XRP is not a security similar to Ethereum. Along those lines, anything along those lines. So the SEC has 14 days to object that to Judge Torres, which is who's the district judge above Judge Netburn.
Is that 14 days from April 11th when it came out?
When it came out, yeah. And then Judge Torres, I think, has 14 days to accept or reject that objection. Mm-hmm. So they object it, and she can say, I either say, okay, let's hear why you're objecting, or she can straight up just deny it.
Yeah.
And John Deaton, who's a popular attorney in the space, I've had him on the YouTube channel, he's basically come through and said that Judge Netburn, he said this the whole time, that he liked Judge Netburn because she's played it she's gave them an open door. The SEC, they've been able to do whatever they want, and now they've got no leg to stand on, and he thinks Judge Torres will just shut it down straight away. And if that happens, he thinks there'll be a settlement within 90 days.
Well, I'd assume she's going to shut it down because, again, this is going to kind of show for how much corruption there is, even within when there's a judge involved. Surely they can't get another extension with this. It's such a big thing. Like you said, she's given the SEC. She's worked with them. She's not just been no, we need them now.
And what the SEC had 4 extensions, 5 extensions, maybe.
So surely they can't. She can't give another one and say, okay, we'll give you another. Because then to me, that's just saying there's something else going on behind the scenes. Because from where I'm sitting, obviously I've got no experience within law. I don't know anything about it. But
neither.
Just as a general human, surely. Common sense, you have to kind of you can't put off one of the biggest parts, which is potentially going to expose the SEC and help the case. You can't put it off anymore.
Yeah, and with this, Elon Musk is trying to highlight that the SEC are potentially corrupt. We've had the Hinman emails for Empower Oversight, which also highlights a conflict of interest. Literally plain as day, Simpson Thacher, the law firm, said to him, "Do not do this speech. It's a conflict of interest. Do not meet these people. It's a conflict of interest with your job." He still went ahead and did them. So that again highlights potential corruption. Obviously, I don't know, but that's what it's highlighting. That's what they're pointing towards. And then we've got 14 days now to object this decision. If they object this decision, we know as retail investors something in there is going to win the lawsuit for Ripple. Yeah. We know that. If they don't, I think it's going to be interesting, because if they then say, okay, let's hand the files over, what happens if they're just pretending like the whole time? That is what is a possibility. But then what you've got to think as a counter argument to that is Ripple, I think, have 5 ex-SEC staff in the Ripple team, and they've been like screaming about these emails, so they must know.
100%.
68 email chain.
I'm convinced if this email chain does come out in the end and there's nothing that is going to benefit Ripple XRP, I'll be very shocked.
Oh, me too.
I'll be very shocked, because like there's obviously a reason why they're holding it back. There's a reason why people within Ripple who used to work for the SEC are pushing it so much, because they know, even if they don't know, they know what the SEC are like, and they know what potential stuff that they will potentially be getting up to. Yeah.
And you've also got to think, okay, they're arguing and the judges said, look, it's Hinman's opinion.
Yeah.
And if in this 68 email chain, they're saying, like other members of the SEC, maybe even lawyers, all these sorts of people are communicating back and forward to give Hinman, like saying, this is the view of the SEC, or you think this because of this, we think this, you should say this about about Ethereum as a security designation, then that's not just his opinion. They're coming out and saying it's his opinion. There's clarity in the space. We haven't given our opinion on Ethereum specifically, but if there's multiple SEC members, lawyers, all constructing a speech that he comes out and gives after a 68 email chain, he comes out and gives that, and then they're trying to say it's his opinion, then it's going to basically give Ripple the fair notice win anyway, that's even if there's nothing about XRP in there.
The fact that they're backtracking on their statement that whether it's his opinion or not is enough for me. Again, you don't have to be a lawyer to see that they're trying to hide
100%,
something.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
It's exciting.
This is why, honestly, this is what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't understand why, especially XRP holders aren't gassing this up a lot more.
I know. Yeah, I've not seen enough about it.
I've seen some. Don't get me wrong. I've seen some people saying as well, it's in SEC's best interest now to settle this before this gets exposed, before it kind of shows that the SEC are corrupt, so it tarnishes their reputation full stop, which again makes a lot of sense to me. But
it's not getting the big airtime, is it? No. It's not getting big airtime, and I'm thinking like this is the biggest thing we've seen.
No, but I don't know whether people just don't understand what it means.
Maybe sentiment's just dying in the XRP army. Everyone's
that's what I mean. Everyone's just. I feel like the whole market in general is a bit flat, so maybe no one's actually paying attention to it anymore. But but when like we always say on our Twitter, when the sentiment's like this low,
this is when
it's the time where you see those green candles.
100%.
Again, we've not been in the space in the previous bull and bear markets, but like you don't have to be a genius to look back and see when the sentiment was low, even when we've been involved in it.
Yeah.
When the sentiment's been this low as it is now, like I think it was like 20 or 25, whatever on the
Ethereum Green Index. Yeah.
This is when you see these narratives come out and boom, a quick shift. The shift is really quick, which is why you see these big surges in price that happen so quick. It's why you didn't see a gradual grind. You see it just bang.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
sentiment's low, you get a catalyst. And actually, one thing I want to just tie in with that, on that basis, is going to say that like getting a catalyst and exploding, one of the reasons that can happen is because you have these sorts of things. So this is like a dormancy flow chart, meaning that this is like a heavy accumulation zone, basically, from Will Clement. He's like an on-chain analyst. We are in one of the biggest times in history where like the amount of Bitcoin that people hold hasn't been moved. So like I think it's 63% of Bitcoin held right now hasn't been sold for over a year. So it's just been sitting in a wallet. So that's illiquid Bitcoin, meaning that it's not moving at all. And this is another one along that same position, meaning that the reason I'm bringing this up, only 3 other occasions have we seen this much Bitcoin withdrawn from exchanges. So you got 63% of Bitcoins not moved, and then one of the highest accumulation periods ever on exchanges. And in the past, whenever this has happened, we see a spark up, because if you get a catalyst and there's no supply, then you don't need like massive volume to move the price, because there is none.
That's
nothing to buy.
That's just theory right there. Like that's literally just maths in terms of what you just said. But then you get a lot of people still coming out, like a lot of big names coming out and kind of saying a bit doom. What's the right word? I've lost my train of thought there. A bit doom and gloom.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the right thing to say. Do you know what I mean?
But
like
I think
the world's full. The sky's falling down.
But we've got to be fair, like on that basis, we've got so much going on, like geopolitically, like wars, supply chain issues, like interest rate hikes, inflation. All these things are making into a absolute macro mess that we're all trying to like solve all at the same time. But when you've got all those narratives happening, which are real narratives and like nothing fake about them, but you can see plain as day, which is a great thing about crypto. Like amounts of crypto have not been moving. Like supply is decreasing.
Yeah.
It only takes one or two little bits of positivity, like a lawsuit settlement for XRP, one of the biggest cryptos. Some bullish sentiment in the market, maybe Doge, like and Twitter being like accepting Doge. Yeah. Those sorts of little catalysts, which aren't that little, but they're big enough to really ignite the market for another leg up. In my opinion, anyway, that's what I'm looking for right now.
Yeah, no, I do agree. It's just, I just feel like everything's in a bit of a weird place at the moment. So I guess you can't really blame people for thinking that, because maybe this time is slightly different because of, like you said, the geopolitical stuff that's going on. Because these markets weren't about obviously back in World War II, so no one's really kind of got anything to go off.
Yeah. Also, we've never had the markets be around for a stock market crash.
Yeah.
Like we obviously think that equity markets are overly inflated at the minute. It's pretty obvious to see, but we've never obviously crypto's moving in correlation with stocks. But when stocks have had a big correction in the past, like 2008, Bitcoin came out the back of that. That's why Bitcoin was born. And then obviously, like before that, like proper stock market crash. I'm not even sure when the proper stock market crashes were, like 20s maybe. Like they had the roaring 20s, so it was in the 30s or whatever.
Something like that.
And then maybe in the 80s was something as well, but I don't know. That's just me pulling dates out my arse. But when we've never seen that because we have no historical data because crypto wasn't around. So how is Bitcoin going to react when the stock market goes down?
This is what I mean.
It's correlated now, but will it stay correlated?
We are, like we said, we're on a bit of a tricky time, but I'm also really excited as well. I'm in that kind of middle ground period where I'm nervous, but I'm also like really excited to see what's going to actually unfold, because I'm actually generally just intrigued to see. We've got a lot of TA going on, we've got a lot of off-chain data going on, a lot of contradicting information going on, and we've got a lot of people, like I said, big YouTubers, for example, contradicting each other, and obviously each one of them giving a reasonable kind of explanation to why they think it is.
Yeah, with good thesis behind it.
Again, it's just kind of, I know where my opinion is, but it's just hard, especially where we are right now. Since we've started crypto, since we've started indulging in the financial world, I'm not too sure what's kind of like, it's a bit grey at the moment.
Yeah, it's grey, man. Yeah,
that's the only kind of way I can
the only thing that I would really say to inspire confidence, because I'm bullish longer term. Short term is a hard game right now, obviously, because of everything that's going on. Medium term, we know what we think is going to happen. I personally think there's going to be an alt season at some point, but that's my personal opinion. And long term, all you can say is network adoption is fully in play, and whether we correct in price or don't, the overall trend of the market is up.
Yeah.
Like accumulation, we see like the MicroStrategies of the world now, like Terraform Labs, so Terra Luna, like buying up Bitcoin. These people are buying Bitcoin not to sell it.
No.
There's people accumulating Bitcoin, and you can see that's another thing that like we've seen whale wallets of Bitcoin continuing to hodl and continuing to accumulate. So over time, obviously we talked about Bitcoin a lot because Bitcoin is literally the tide that moves all shores. At the minute, we're looking at Bitcoin as like the market maker. Like wherever Bitcoin goes, the market is following. We do want to see a decoupling for an alt season. Could we see that short term? Yes, but the long term, the macro trend is that Bitcoin is being accumulated at these prices even. So they obviously still think there's value in it now, and at some point that will be reflected in the price. One day.
Sooner rather than later, I think, as well. Like I said, I think, especially this year, what's going on, I think whatever's going to happen, it's going to happen really quick. So just be prepared.
Yeah, actually, one last thing I would like to touch on that we haven't actually touched on just before we finish is a DXY. We've been watching the DXY.
On about this on Twitter.
We have. I think it's at high now. The DXY is at
it dipped down, rejected the fib 786.
Yeah.
Came down. I thought that could be the reversal, but today's obviously had a bit of a storm.
It broke it, but then like when I last checked, it was back below.
Rejected again, so it's still struggling. But this is what it did with the 702, and I thought it would reverse them, but it kind of went ahead. And what do you think is going to happen with the DXY?
It's a really tricky one because obviously it's the dollar currency index. It's basically the dollar strength against other currencies, and I was listening to Real Vision, Raoul Pal. Like I like to listen to a lot of people's different. That wasn't actually Raoul Pal, but it's his show. a lot of people's perspectives on it, and I was just doing my TA on it anyway. And they were saying that it looks like there could be a cool-off period in the DXY, but they were also saying it's the best of dirty shirts at the minute because all the currencies are underperforming, and it's performing probably one of the best. So you got the euro, who they were saying is possibly going to collapse. You got the Japanese yen that's getting smashed as well because of treasury bonds in Japan. So you've got two of the G7 who are getting smashed at the minute. I think the pound's doing all right. So you got two of the G7, so it's gaining strength against them. So it will gain it. So it's losing strength less fast than they are. Yeah, basically.
No. Like you hit and then when they said it's the best of a dirty shirt. To be fair, but I don't know. I can't see it going on for too much longer because it has hit that favourite retracement, which was highs from 2017. So it's not just like a short-term play. This is a long-term retracement which it's reached.
Yeah, and it found resistance on that like 4 times in the past. Exactly. And just like finally on that is that the Fed are in a massively difficult position. We've got, if they tighten too hard, we'll probably have an equities crash and recession. Everyone's screaming for a recession, which makes me think they're probably not going to get one, because when the retail investors know that something's going to happen before, how are they going to get the opportunity to sell? Like Blockchain Bracker brought up on his channel the other day, Congress still haven't sold out of their stocks. Are they going to not sell out at the top? They're going to sell out whenever they want to make the most money. Are they going to give retailers, like if everyone's screaming for a recession now, and we're only like 10% from the all-time high, they're not going to give retailers the chance to sell at the absolute top, basically. So that would suggest there's going to be another leg up. And then on top of that, so now we've seen obviously C-19 lockdowns again in China, supply chain issues potentially, maybe like a lack of liquidity in the dollar. People might need more stimulus because if supply chains are harder, it's going to mean prices on shelves and CPI is probably going to increase. What are they going to do? They're in a hyperinflation probably scenario here because people are going to be on the breadline. They're already raising interest rates. Those people aren't going to be able to get access to cash. And because we've got these supply chain issues and probably forcing the price up, they're probably going to have to print more dollars. And when they print more dollars, that's when the DXY loses strength, and that's when Bitcoin rallies. Yeah. So that's the way I'd probably leave it. I do like that.
It's just to conclude on that, we're in a crazy, crazy part of the world in life right now. Don't you think? It's just, honestly, it's just crazy. And I'm sure a lot of people listening think the same as well, because I feel like everyone's in the same mindset right now as well.
I just want to stress, like, I find it really exciting to look at the financials, and the financials are exciting, but like, what's actually happening in the world is just mad. Yeah. Like, we've got wars going on, people getting slaughtered, and whether you think that, like, what the West have done in the past is justified or not, this is still happening now, and it's not good, is it?
I just never thought I'd live through a war like this.
A pandemic into a war, bro.
If you told me, so what you're obviously in 2022, and if you told me in early 2019, okay, Pav, the next 3 years, you're going to go through a pandemic where you're going to get locked down for a few months as well. Yeah, you can't leave your house. You have to wear a mask everywhere you go. That would have laughed at you in the first place. And then to go on to the fact that also there's going to be a war.
Yeah, and now, and this is something that's providing more uncertainty to the market. Is now you've got Putin's putting troops on like Finland and Sweden's borders, is it? Because they're talking about joining NATO, and he's basically now he's reinforcing troops on their borders.
As today's current date is, that's the latest kind of news, and that's honestly the scariest part, really, because that's gonna start World War III. Yeah, that move right there. If he moves into there, I'm hoping something de-escalates this, because otherwise it doesn't matter how much money, how much Bitcoin you hold, it doesn't matter, bro. Do you know what I mean? Because then you're in war.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right,
trying to speak about the war.
Yeah, 100%. Right, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Is there anything you want to say to sign off? Obviously, Pav hasn't got any socials set up at the minute.
Not yet.
He's thinking about creating maybe some socials. We'll keep you up to date when they come out. We'll put some links in there. Hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you want us to discuss anything next week, any specific topic areas, let us know in the comments.
Get it in.
Or message on Twitter, reply to our tweets. Obviously, Pav's active on there. DM us, DM me on Instagram. Everything's at Crypto Insight UK at the minute. And thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Peace up, A-Sound down, as Usher would say.